Clayton Tucker here. So we're about to get hit with a massive heat wave down here in Texas. I'm talking like 105. And there's a group of farmers, I don't know if y'all know this, a group of farmers are suing the USDA because of the Trump administration basically gutted all the climate information. And that could be some things to help forecast heat waves and droughts. So I'm spending my morning out here making sure all the animals have water, that everyone will be all right. Farmers need as much information as we can get. We need information such as when is a heat wave coming? When is a drought coming? How is the climate changing? Where are the new rainfall patterns coming? This is information that's very valuable to us, and these fools up in DC are just trying to gut everything, and it's hurting everyone. So it's just stupid. That's all it is.
Texas Progressive Caucus President Clayton Tucker, stolen from his Facebook page there. It's Wednesday, May 14th, 2025, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch, rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. So with the heat wave and, trying as we always do to look on the bright side here, do see the show notes for a link to the ERCOT dashboard. If you slide down a bit, you'll see the fuel mix window. Click on previous day there, and that will show you a review of which of Texas's energy sources were carrying how much of the load over the course of the first day of this heat wave yesterday. It turns out the day was dominated by solar power sources, not just at the peak of the hottest day of the year, but basically all day long from about 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. yesterday. Solar was providing more than any other source of our power in Texas. For all the other stuff that we bitch about on this podcast, which of course we'll get to that in just a second, we can be proud that in this particular pinch, Texas is literally being kept cool by clean, renewable, green energy, and it needs to stay that way and continue to develop in that direction. These are basic facts that are useful when discussing current plans in the closing days of the 89th legislature by Republican lawmakers to undercut future renewable development in Texas. A New York Times headline today says it all: renewable energy is booming in Texas. Republicans want to change that. In which a lot of the usual experts we hear from on the grid worry that a break on green energy is a break on the Texas economy, that pulling regulatory favor from renewables back to fossil fuels will drive electric bills up, not down, and drive our grid's reliability down, not up, and that the green energy industry itself could just up and go somewhere else. This stuff is being considered right now at the Capitol. We focus mostly on San Antonio and Austin, which are the most hard hit by this current hot spell, but North Texas and the Houston area are feeling it too. DFW could hit 100 for the first time today. Houston is looking like 97, which would be the earliest it's gotten that hot there in recorded history. Let's not let an apocalyptic heat wave go to waste. Now's the time to remind our lawmakers that their offices are nice and cool right now directly because of renewable energy. In that same building, time is running out for a lot of important stuff. Philip Jankowski and Talia Richmond at the Dallas Morning News say that HB 2, the public education funding bill that's been sitting idle in committee for 3 weeks as of today, will finally be heard by the Senate tomorrow, but it's looking as though what they finally come up with may fall well short of the $7.7 billion proposal passed by the House almost a month ago. The Senate's initial vision was a much more modest $4.4 billion spend, and you can bet that closed-door negotiations have whittled the House version a good ways back towards that lower figure. In fact, Scott Braddock of the Quorum Report tweeted late last night referring to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick that, quote, after he was called out for hiding the ball on the Senate school finance proposal, unquote, it turns out Patrick wants to vastly undercut the increase in the basic allotment or the foundational per-student funding amount for public schools in the House version, which called for a $395 increase per kid. Dan Patrick wants to bump it by a mere $55. There's a decent chance the clock will run out and Texas public schools will get no additional funding, even after redirecting $1 billion taxpayer dollars for starters to private schools. This is a true shit show in the making. By the way, one news item that really hurt my heart this morning as a product of Lubbock's public school system, voucher opponents have long pointed to the notion that many private schools will still be unaffordable even with vouchers for many Texas families. And in many cases, that's true. But look what's coming in Lubbock. A rundown by Mateo Rosiles at the Lubbock Avalanche Journal shows that many private schools in Lubbock, all with church affiliations, are within or close to the voucher amount. In Lubbock, as of this fall, private Christian schools will be as viable an option as public schools are, which of course was the goal. My prediction is that Lubbock ISD and all of its heritage schools, Monterey High, Estacado High, Lubbock High, are in deep trouble come September. Back to the Capitol and the ticking legislative clock. Jasper Scherer at the Texas Tribune runs down some of the other stuff on death watch at this point: property tax cuts, water infrastructure action, the abortion clarification bill we've spent so much time arguing about, and a fair amount of right-wing garbage we just as soon see die anyway: the 10 Commandments in Schools bill, the latest version of the transgender bathroom bill, that abortion medication bill that includes crazy language to keep itself from being reviewed by the courts, further expansion of library book and DEI bans. There's actually a lot of stuff we'd love to see go away here. Scherer says the next major deadline is tomorrow, Thursday, the last day for House lawmakers to give tentative approval to most bills that began in the House. Senate bills have another 12 days after that to reach the House floor, which means in practice they must advance out of their assigned House committees by May 24th. We do want to shout out our friend in Dallas State Rep Benton Jones, who got his measure requiring Texas schools to let parents know when those schools experience persistent vacancies in key staffing positions like librarians, full-time nurses, or counselors. That's off to the Senate. And we also need to get in whatever the opposite of a shout out is here: a shout in, a shout down. Anyway, we're displeased to see 4 Democratic House reps, Eddie Morales, Richard Pena, Oscar Longoria, and Christian Manuel, vote for that bill that will expand allowances for carrying guns into polling locations. What the fuck, y'all? All of this, of course, lies before the ever-looming threat of special sessions. Both Governor Abbott and Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick can make those happen. In Patrick's case, he's threatened to force one by killing must-pass legislation if his wide-ranging THC ban fails to make it through. And also, should lawmakers fall short on his goal of establishing new restrictions on judges to allow bail in certain criminal cases, that needs 12 Democratic votes to pass, so we'll see. Leaving you with a piece on the looming and likely bloody battle between Senator John Cornyn and Attorney General Ken Paxton in the Republican primary for U.S. Senate. Ben Jacobs at Politico says that the stakes are high for the GOP as Cornyn, one of the most consistent winners on the current Republican team, is as likely as not to fall in the primary to Paxton, whose toxicity makes him a much weaker bet in the general election, obviously creating an opportunity for a strong Democratic candidate to pull off a steal here. GOP strategists are starting to panic. Some are talking about Congressman Wesley Hunt as a younger Trump-friendly alternative. Who will Texas Democrats put into this massive opportunity? Colin Allred, who spent $80 million to lose to the much-loathed Ted Cruz by 9 points just last year. Beto O'Rourke, who nearly took out Cruz but carries his own election loss baggage since then. Somebody else? Who's it going to be? This is a discussion that should be much better developed by this point among Texas progressives than it is. Let's go, y'all. DFW and North Texas friends, please mark your calendars for Monday, June 9th. That's when we'll be hosting our 15th anniversary celebration in Dallas. Links to become a supporter and to secure your tickets are up now at progresstexas.org. Huge thanks to our generous event sponsors: Howard Cleon, Charles Zeller, Pamela Pearson, Alex Andrade, Carol Taylor, Chuck Cruz, Amy Forehand, John Mazzero, Mark Yagin, Allison Johnston, Grinter Allen, and many more. Thanks so much for the support. We look forward to seeing all of y'all on the 9th of June for 15 years of Progress in Dallas. Tickets and sponsorship opportunities now at progresstexas.org. Our mission at Progress Texas is to counter the conservative disinformation machine, but they far outmatch us in funding. Oil and tech billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups spend a lot of money keeping their audiences in the dark. If you've come to appreciate the light that we shine on important political news in Texas on a daily, ongoing basis, please know that our regular everyday listeners form a key component of our funding. If that's you, we could use your support as a monthly contributor, and no amount is too small. Go to progresstexas.org/donate. Thanks to Joanna Russo-Cade, Ivan Friedman, and Gene Robinson, all of whom are on the team. We appreciate all of you very much. While you're at our website, make sure and hit our web store to grab the merch to match your progressive values. Y'all means all Revolution, Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts, all union printed right here in Texas. Great stickers and more, all at progresstexas.org. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks for listening. Stay cool out there. Have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.